Is it just me who came to find out about investing, ama investments, later on in life? Ama there's other people who found out about it a bit later in life? I don't know, it's just weird. Sometimes I even laugh about it because how? I used to think, for you to build wealth, to grow your wealth, you study hard, you get a nice or a good job, and that's all it takes. Well, you can laugh about it, but I don't know. Information just got to me much later in life. I came to know about investing and the importance of investing much later in my life. I never knew about it. And I sat and I thought, maybe there's people, because I can't be the only one. Everything in life, don't ever think you're the only one who's like going through it or who has experienced something. There's always other people who like maybe don't even have any idea. So we are here investing, talking about investments, and they really don't understand like why should I do it? Or maybe they know what investing is, but just something seems to hold them back. For me, I didn't I didn't know why. I didn't even know there was something like investing. I just knew you get a job, you get a good job, you start a business, things work out, and you have money now. Okay. Anyway, today I'll be talking to you about the pros and cons of investing and some of the fears that actually stop people from investing. Well, I hope it helps someone. Even if it helps one person, that's cool. Before I even do that, before I even give you the pros and cons, it is very necessary for you to start investing. The earlier you start investing, the younger you start investing, the better for you. It becomes easier. Okay? And if you want to retire early, it's best if you start investing mapema. Yeah. So one of the advantages, I'll start with the pros. Investing beats inflation. Okay. And this is because I came to find out baadaye, I used to just put money in my bank account, and then when inflation comes, guy, it coolers my money like nobody's business. But when you invest your money, that means putting your money in other better accounts. Like instead of your money sitting in a normal bank account that gives you a smaller percentage in return, you put it in better accounts. Of late, for the last few years, Kenyans have at least are quite familiar with money market funds, index funds and stuff like that. Those are the places where you can invest, you can put your money instead of your money just sitting in a bank account. Yeah? It really helps a lot. There's a difference, a big difference. Putting your money in something like a money market fund helps it grow. Even if it's slowly, at least it's growing. Okay? It's some of you complain about the growth, but anything good grows slowly. Okay? Unless if you want fast returns and quick returns, just be prepared for higher risks. So fast returns, higher risks, stuff like that. So if you invest, that it means you beat inflation, unlike someone who's not investing. So you keep that in mind. Another advantage of you when you start investing is like you sort of create another source of income. Okay, and like someone who has like one job or one source of income, when you invest, you put your money maybe into something else. In Kenya, there's different, not just in Kenya, most places there's different forms of investment. So after your investments, you're done with your investments, they start maybe giving you cash flow. So this can look like a second form of source of income for you. Okay, and who wouldn't want that anyway? An investment is something when you're beginning, just keep this in mind. You're building something or an asset that will make you money while you sleep. Okay? That's what makes you different from the rest. Okay? That's what makes an individual who's investing different from the one who's not investing. When you start investing, that's you putting your best foot forward, taking care of your future self. Because nobody wants to work forever anyway. We all are trying to look for ways in which we can make more money. As we sleep, I want to travel and still make more money. I don't want to be at the office every day. I don't want to be working every day. And that's why you see a lot of people, everyone, at some point, everyone wanted real estate. They want to build houses that will bring income for them. Nowadays, everyone is trying to build an app, something that can be bringing income. At least while you do other things, you can focus on other things. Yeah. So that's one of the big advantages, okay? You can invest in shares at the end of the year or quarterly, depending on the company. You get dividends, yeah? And that money is sweet, by the way. Especially when you know you're not even touching the capital. Investing is nice. But you can only know it's nice when you actually start investing, okay? Talk to people, even the ones who invest in things like government bonds. The advantages are massive, and the fruits are sweet. So think about that advantage. Think about it, okay? Especially if you want your money to work for you instead of you to work for money. So think about that. Another advantage of investing, or when you start investing, it gives you retirement security, okay? There's people who are just waiting for their pension. They're just working. Like for me, if I continued with that mindset, if I was not hungry to learn, to want to know more, I wouldn't have known about investments, Because you have to be hungry. Lazima ujitume. If I didn't learn, I would be there sitting. And when I think about when I'm old, I'll just be worried. But now when you start investing, then your retirement feels a bit safer. Because by the time you're retiring, I'm sure your investments will have matured. The returns will be good. So you won't be afraid of old age. Okay? And this is because you started investing. So you embrace. When that time comes, you're happier, you embrace, because you did the right thing. You started investing. Okay? As I said, you're different from the rest. You stand out. And that's why you'll see there's some old people who struggle when they're older. But at the same time, you can't blame everything. There's people who just don't know these things. Okay? So be hungry for knowledge at the same time. As much as you should start investing, be hungry enough to go looking for that knowledge. Okay? Because knowledge is power. Once you understand something, like even investment or investing, you'll regret why you didn't know it earlier. Okay? There's people, like for me, I'll just be honest, there was no one to tell me about investing. Guy, actually there's no one. And it makes, when I think about it, I'm just angry. And that's one of the reasons I'm even telling my daughter, I want her to know these things. When she's young, let's teach our kids, our children, about things like investing, okay? Let them not grow up with fear like some of us did. Or, yeah, like most of us millennials, there was no internet when we were growing up. Sasa tulikuja, internet came just the other day. It's quite unfortunate. But, as I said, there's people who just don't know. So this is also me, I guess, trying to create more awareness. Because if a friend of mine benefits from investing, it makes my life easier also, okay? Because if they don't benefit later, if they have a problem, I'm the first one they'll call to help, right? Yeah, so if the people around you don't know about investments or the importance of investing, I think you should talk to them, you should advise them. Yeah. So another advantage of investing is it helps in wealth building. For me, I think it's the primary and the best way that helps you move from living paycheck to paycheck. The only way you can move from living paycheck to paycheck and you start building something like family wealth is only if you start investing. If you don't invest, for example, if you're employed, even if your child is so smart, if you retire or you die, they will never employ your child. They will find a random person. So this is not something that you can say you can leave down to your children, unless it's a business, of course. And sometimes you've seen our kids, they really don't want to do the things that we are doing as parents. They're choosing a totally different path. I don't know what happens. They just prefer being totally opposite. If we decide to go east, they decide that it's west forever. I don't know what happens, but but the only way to, I was drifting, yeah? The only way you can start building wealth that can go from one generation to the next is if you start investing, okay? If you want your children and your grandchildren to reap the fruits of what you sow, you start investing, okay? Being employed doesn't cut it. Sasa, investment is the only way to go. Start now. Start investing now, okay? Okay, you see those like dreams you have, those goals you have. If you're lucky enough and you have a good, like a well-paying job, maybe it can help you reach there faster. But if you're not lucky enough to have a well-paying job, wherever in the world, the best way to get there faster is if you start investing. So you see, all the advantages of investing, when you listen to them and think about it, it just shows you this is something you should have started like years ago. Okay? But not to feel bad if you've not been investing, you can always start now. Or you can start as soon as you get some money. As soon as money lands in your pocket, hands, account, consider investing. Sawa. Make sure you put aside some money and you invest. Stop living. That's the only way your life will change. Okay? Stop living paycheck to paycheck. There was a time, Aki, I was living evil, hand to mouth. I remember even telling a friend of mine called Evans, where me, my life, This is a few years ago. Everything comes in, it goes out. Everything comes in, it goes out. Hakuna kitu inasimama. The last advantage I want to talk to you about is like some investments are tax efficient. Okay? Meaning, some investments offer tax advantages or exemptions. Okay? Like when you invest in government funds, bonds, stuff like that, you get some exemptions. Okay? Government infrastructures. So it really depends on whatever type of investment you want to embark on or you want to start. Because they're really many. They're different. You're not limited to one way of investing. Okay? So as much as, even when you finish watching this video, go read, find out more about investing. Find out more about investing. It's best if you're well informed. Okay? Read more about investing. Okay? So now let's talk about some of the disadvantages, the cons of investing. Okay? Of course, the biggest one is risk of loss. Losing your money. Okay? Because no one wants to lose their money. And how? For example, you invest in something, a stocks market, whatever, and the markets go down, they crash. You see that's how you lose money. Your hard-earned money just disappeared. Maybe you didn't even have time to sell your shares. Maybe by the time you got the information, things were already bad. Even if you get to sell them, you sell them at a loss, not even at the price that you bought them. So investing, it also has its downsides, yeah? Yeah. Like the other day you said there was floods in Kenya, yeah? A lot of people have different types of investments, yeah? Some people invest in cars, huh? For business, Uber, whatever. There's lorries, there's matatus. You saw what the floods did, huh? All that was losses. Even someone has a business and then they had stores underground, and everywhere it was flooded. Yeah, so there's risk of losses, but there's risk in everything, even in life itself. So loss should never stop you from investing. You never know your luck. Okay, bahati yako sio bahati ya mtu mwingine, so let not that stop you. Another disadvantage is like there's investments where there's lock-in periods, like in money market funds or some government bonds. Some things, when you put your money in there, you can't access your money until a certain time has passed. It can be 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. It depends on whatever investment or company or yeah. So some people find that to be a problem, the lock-in period. Some people want to be able to access their money, but it's unfortunate some investments don't give you that. You put your money, for example, in a pension scheme. You can't access that money. Even if you're in hospital, regardless of whatever you're going through, you can't access that money. It's been locked until you reach a certain age. So you know you have money somewhere, but you can't access it. It's the same as having money in a fixed deposit account. You're the one who said, I want it to be in a fixed deposit. But you can't access it until the time frame that you set iishe. Okay? Those are the lock-in periods that tie your money or finances for a set amount of time. So that's another disadvantage of some investments. Another disadvantage is costs and fees. But then again, what is free in this world? Even the M-Pesa we are using right now in Kenya. To send money, there's costs. And there's fees apply. To deposit, okay, depositing is free. To withdraw, to send, there's charges. Okay? There's fees nowadays for almost everything. In some investments, there's brokerage fee. Yeah? It depends, not all investments. Yeah? There's even, in others, there's fund management fees that apply. Yeah? Even I think in some money market funds, there's fund management fees. Okay? Fund management fees, legal fees, withdrawal fees. If you had invested in something like land and you want to sell that land, there's land transfer fees. Such things. These are disadvantages of investing. But as I said, these are not things that should stop you. They shouldn't stop you from investing. I don't think they're good enough. Because if you don't want to risk anything, life itself, as I said, is a risk. So you're even living the opposite of life. Every day we risk. We wake up with risk. We leave the house, we're risking. So it's only okay if investing is also risky, don't you think? But you think about it. Okay. Another disadvantage about investing is that it takes time and effort. I'm yet to see an investment that takes a shorter time. They tend to, you have to give it time. For you to see the fruits or the results or the advantages of investing, you have to give it time. And you have to put in effort. Okay? Effort can look like, if you're investing in something like a money market fund, constant, you keep depositing more money. You don't just deposit once or invest once. You keep depositing more money. Ukipata pesa kidogo, unaongezea. Ukipata pesa, that's still effort. It still counts as effort. Okay? If you buy land, you just don't leave it bare. Maybe you can decide you want to plant trees. That's effort. Okay? These trees later you can, after a few years, you can sell them as timber, anything. That's effort you put on that land. Okay? So some people see it as a kazi ngumu, but all these things come with investing. Okay? So it will take you time and effort, especially if you want good or great returns. You have to put in effort. Another big fear, or another disadvantage, not a fear, this is more, but another disadvantage is scams. Okay? This is bad because the market is full of unlicensed people or folks pretending to know about investment ideas, telling you to bring your money, let's put it here. And verified professionals. They call themselves professional advisors, and they are not. They're just out there to scam you. That's, I think, for me, that's now the height of it. And that's why nowadays, it's best if you work with referrals. But even referrals, sometimes someone can be just naive. Maybe they're in the entry period, so they've seen it works once. Kumbe hata hao ni kupikwa wanapikwa, and then muive pamoja mcho. And then you guys, you all lose. These people come promising you very high returns. I think that's also a red flag. But that's the disadvantage. But you're told when the deal is too good, think twice. So if someone is coming with a very, very, anakuambia about some, when you listen to that, you're just like, these are unrealistic returns. Be afraid. Run for your life. Okay? That's, I think, among the greatest disadvantages of investing. When someone comes and tells you, hey, just wekelea your $500,000, it will double in a month or in a week. That's too good to be true. Run away from that. Okay? Don't be too hungry. Investment doesn't want hungry people. If you're too hungry, you'll easily go down. So avoid those, people, the fake individuals who pretend to be investment advisors. Torokea hao watu. Okay? So it's best if you talk to people, who are experienced in these things, people who've done it and it has worked, and you can really attest that they've been in that investment for quite some time and it's working. Okay? Also be afraid, be very wary of new investments zenye nobody knows about, Take your time. Don't rush. Don't rush into these things. Okay? The last disadvantage I will talk about is the emotional roller coaster that comes with investing. Hey, today, did you hear news? You're panicking. Tomorrow it's different. So your emotions are just fluctuating. They're all over the place. And this is because uliekelea pesa yako. You put your money in that investment. It can be stressful. Watching, let's call it the algorithm of investing, move the way it wants to move. And these things, you don't have control over them. You don't have power. But imagine you see, maybe you bought shares and you see you're watching the value drop. And maybe this is something fixed. As I mentioned earlier, ulienda ukasema, unataka iwekwe for a lock-in period of a certain time. Alafu unasikia news, things are going down. Hey! That's when you realize, kumbe you have strong feelings. Kumbe you are an emotional human being. Now that's the emotional roller coaster that comes with investing. You have to be ready. These things happen, even if it's temporary. So it's not that we are preaching about investing and it's something that doesn't come with its disadvantages. Okay. Now, I want to talk about, let me talk about the fears people have when it comes to investing. Yeah. People are afraid. Because you can find those individuals who know about investing. They've heard about it. They know. But they're afraid of investing. Okay. Some of the fears are some of the cons I have mentioned. So, as I said, fear of loss, fear of risk. This is just people. You'll find people anakwambia mimi siwezi, anaogopa kabisa. They are just afraid. They don't want to lose. And most of the time, these are people who are holders. They'd rather hold their money than put it in, whatever it is. You just seem, you can't convince them to invest. You can spend the whole day talking to them, trying to show them, they'll focus on the disadvantages, the cons. No matter how, no matter how even if the pros are better or heavier or, they are making sense more, they are just focusing on the cons. So that fear stops them. They will never invest. And even if they do, it's unlikely for them even to grow or, move forward. Let's just say the fear crippled them. Yeah. The thought of losing their money, they can't handle it. They can't handle it. Especially if they've heard of their parents or their friends or relative who lost money trying to invest. You cannot convince this person. If they had a friend who fell for a pyramid scheme, they assume all investments are pyramid schemes. So you'll never be able to convince this person. Okay? All they'll be hearing from you is, this is a pyramid scheme. This person is trying to sell me a get rich quick scheme. That's one of the reasons why people don't invest. And that's you become a slave of fear. That's sad. Another thing is lack of knowledge, as I said. You are afraid of investing because you don't know. And you're not hungry enough to find out. People can advise you, but they can't make decisions for you. So even if I come and tell you, go and invest here, I would suggest you invest here. I can only advise you. The decision is entirely up to you. I'm not telling you to go and decide now. I'm giving you an idea, and I expect you to go find out more about what I've told you. Okay? But now, because you lack the knowledge and you're not hungry enough, you stay stuck. You'll never grow. You'll always remain in that level. And that's why you've seen most Kenyans, they have a fear, stock markets, wanaogopa. Ukimwambia, you tell them about bonds, they feel it's too complicated, yet they don't want to ask questions, they don't want to find out more. So they're just stuck in the same level. How you don't know anything, you don't have any knowledge about it, and you're just content like that. That's a sad place to be. Because then if you don't understand something, you'll always fear it. Utakuwa tu unaogopa. You'll be sitting and watching other people thrive, do whatever, and you're just stuck, remaining on the same place. Another thing is Ponzi scheme trauma. A lot of people have traumas. Especially in Kenya, you see people think betting is investing. So you go and bet your 5,000, your 500 shillings in a mezwa, your money disappears. And then you think that is investing. So every form of investment, you've put it in the category of betting. No. Okay. As much as Kenya, we have a history of scams. A lot of scams are happening here and there. There's always dubious cooperatives all over somewhere too. And it's funny how they always have people working for them. Or some sort of online forex fraud. They're always looking for those people who lack knowledge, actually, to scam. Those people, and they have a funny way of convincing even the ones who are afraid of investing. You're being lied, they come and lie to you. Now, when this happens, when you've experienced that, or your friends or someone you know, it makes a lot of people become distrustful. So even if something really works and it can really help them, they think of it as a Ponzi scheme. Especially when you come to them and you mention that it's an opportunity that requires cash. You've lost them. You'll never see them again. That's where they draw the line. They're like, the moment you mention money, that's it. Problem is, Aki, tell me, who has never been conned in this life, as long as you're an adult? Even in Kenya, the moment you come to Nairobi, something must happen to you. They say it's a way of initiating you and welcoming you to the city. You will be conned, or they'll steal from you. Something will just happen. Okay? But this shouldn't be a barrier. Okay? You should learn. If it happened to you, you should learn from it. Okay? And maybe the next time make better decisions. Okay? Read more. Be hungry for knowledge, as I was saying. So that you don't fall for these Ponzi schemes. You don't fall for these scams. Fear is, as I was saying, is the same as disadvantages. Because of liquidity. You want me to invest my money and I can't access it. Some people have a problem with that. They want to invest. The good thing is sometimes there's investments where you can access your money. But problem is, when you have access to that money, it's a problem. Life has a way of throwing you problems. There's always something going on that requires money. So if it's not in a fixed place, you're bound to withdraw. I've made that mistake. I put money in a certain investment where I feel like, and once they tell you invest here, you can access your money whenever you want. It's a good thing until a few months you realize you're not moving, you're not growing. And this is because you can access your money however you want, however you please. There's no discipline. You feel like, I need 5K. You withdraw because there's no lock-in period. So whatever it is that you're even targeting, it will take you a very long time to get there. So it's a fear that is crushing you. It's a barrier that actually is destroying you instead of growing you. Another fear or barrier is people have this myth of that if for you to invest, you have to have like huge sums of money. You have to start like $500,000. We're talking about millions. No, those are myths. Okay? Nowadays, people don't keep these things. Squeezy, you invest even 100 shillings, 500, 1,000, however much you can get, you can invest, imagine. So is that idea that you have to have a lot of money to invest, that's in the past. Okay? There's companies that you have to have huge amounts, yeah? Even some government, whatever's, I understand some you need to have 50,000, 100,000. But there's other ways of investing where you just need 5,500 shillings, So find one that works for you. Stop assuming all of them are the same. As they say, there's something for everyone. So find whatever it is that works for you. Okay? And lastly, economic instability. The fear that you have, or the fear that people have for investing in something like the NSEs, Nairobi Stocks Exchange, because of something like currency inflation. You need to know nothing is a straight line. Nothing is always constant. Things have to fluctuate. And anything can cause the fluctuation. It can be politics, like the other day. So there was this war going on between US and is Iran, yeah? Those things, they cause uncertainty. These things cause uncertainty in the market. But as I said, they are not good enough reasons for you not to invest. Find another reason. Okay? This life is about trial and error. If this doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean the next won't work for you. You cannot live your life just giving up. No. You have to always hope for the best. Expect the best. Everyone has their down moments. Even if you talk to these people who've thrived because they invested, sit down, ask them. They were duped one time. It's just that they don't focus. They don't put a lot of energy on that. Because if you focus on the negativity, you'll never see the positive side of things. So start investing. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're young, you're old, start investing. As long as you're alive, you're not dead, invest. Okay? Even if it's a small amount of money, you start investing. And within no time, you will see the difference and you will regret why you didn't even start earlier. And if you still want to learn more about investing, there's Google, there's online platforms, okay? Talk to people, get more insights, okay? Just become a better person. Don't be the same person you were yesterday. They say every day, try at least learn one thing before you go sleep. I hope this helps someone, okay? And not just helping, I hope this drives a few people to start investing and stop postponing, okay? Stop waiting for the right time. Now is the right time, because even that right time you're waiting for, it's not promised to you. So you do the investment right now, and then maybe hopefully by the end of the year you'll be a totally different person. Well, I'm Miss Maithati, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.